Hey, yo, Chicago, what it do, baby? What is good, everybody?
What's down? What's down? What's down? What's down?
It's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again, man. Joined by the Brody Bro, P.Kidd. Y'all already know how we get down. The pettiest man alive, Petty Casanova's in the building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And y'all know on a Matt Nagy topic, he's here to get petty. Y'all know on a Matt Nagy topic, he is here to get petty. Listen, man, this is the Windy City. This is the Windy City Breeze. We're here talking Chicago sports the way Chicago talks. So make sure y'all get in tune with us. Make sure y'all like the video. Subscribe to the page because we do talk Chicago sports weekly. We don't want you to miss the things, so make sure that you hit that bell. We appreciate y'all for rocking with us, man. Question on the table today. Did Mitch Trubisky's performance prove that Matt Nagy's play calling is the Chicago Bears offense's biggest problem? Y'all know Kidd was excited for this when I called him to have this conversation. And I think
he called me 5 minutes before the live. He was like, "Hey, sure. I'm going live," and I was like, "When?" He was like, "In like 5:30." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, I was really excited about this topic. Couldn't let it pass.
And I think, listen, I think that he's it's a good topic to have because when we're talking about, here's the thing: when we're talking about the Bears' success, Mitch Trubisky's on to better, bigger things. I mean, he's a backup somewhere. He's probably one of the better backups in the NFL, as he showed on last Saturday.
The best backup quarterback in the NFL is Andy Dalton.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say the only argument I got for you is Andy Dalton is probably the best backup quarterback in the NFL. But right now he's starting for the Bears, which is the saddest conversation we've got. So as of now, I gotta say that Mitch is probably one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Did he prove that with better play calling that he can be a successful QB and that Matt Nagy's play calling is the problem? Because like I was going to say, Mitch is gone. Matt's still here. That's why this conversation's an important topic. Matt's still here. Kid, I already know you're rearing up for this one, so I set it up on a tee for you. Here you go.
Oh, man, listen. Swing away, right? First and foremost, you all appreciate you all joining in. We talk Chicago sports weekly. It was about to be Jay Fields weekly. I like that, Blocko. Hey, listen, real quick. I don't have a reverb, right? You can't hear this yourself through this and stuff like that. It ain't bad.
No. Maybe a little bit, but only if I start yelling. So we'll see what
I'm gonna turn you down a little bit. That's all. I just want to make sure we got good quality going on. That's all. Good quality. But hey, yo, real talk. I think Mitch looked better because Sean McDermott is a better coach, in my opinion, when it comes to his QBs.
Right.
I think that's just really what it is. I've never been high on Matt Nagy as far as how he calls his plays. I think he's wearing too many hats. I think what he does well, he just needs to do well. He's a great scout of talent.
Yeah.
That's what he does well. And it's okay for him not to be a good play caller. Like, it's okay for him not. That doesn't mean his job is in jeopardy because he's not calling the plays, right? His job is in jeopardy if he gets someone who can't call plays, right? And so when a person when your play caller can't call plays, that person should be fired. Well, for a long time, it's been Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
And we've been saying, okay, he should be fired for that, right? And how he develops his QBs. To me, the sign of a leader is what you do with what you have.
Right.
And he didn't maximize what he had with Mitchell Trubisky. That's not to say that Mitchell Trubisky all of a sudden is, he still has his limitations, right? But in history, how many of our historic greats had flaws very similar? Tom Brady, for the longest, Tom Brady had 2 rings that we were talking about. Hey, he couldn't throw deep. That's a fact. You can go pull it up. Tom Brady did not throw the deep ball well. Right. We found things to pick at. Drew Brees, one of the greatest QBs in sport in history of the sport, was called Captain Checkdown for a reason. Why? He threw a lot of passes, nickel and dime you, but he moved the chains. When it came to Mitch, we always found something to pick at. Oh, he don't throw deep. But we saw, all right, he didn't throw deep, but he was moving that chain. He can be a good QB and move the chains. He didn't have to, like, if your coach is scheming for you well, you don't have to throw deep. Now, should you have the ability to? Yeah, that's how you develop. I'm not saying that's not the case, because even like we saw, Tom Brady, I know he's the GOAT, but he wasn't the GOAT at first. It was all Bill. Eventually, he became the GOAT. That's because he developed his game. We have to give these people, these players, the same leeway. And I don't think Matt Nagy was the coach for him to do that. That's all it is. I don't think Matt Nagy's the coach for Fields, to be honest with you. I think he's the coach to get him started, but he's not the coach to where Justin Fields is going to take that leap to be an elite player. I think Justin Fields is going to do what he does off of raw talent. That's it. I don't think Matt Nagy can get him there. That's just my opinion. I'm just not big on Nagy. And I have a lot of holes. There's a lot of holes in his philosophy and game outside of the fact that he can pick talent. That's it. That's just where I'm at with him.
Listen, good breakdown. I mean, when we're talking about Nagy and Coach T, I see you trying to call in. We don't got the call-in number for this live. We'll have that Wednesday. So if you want to call in, then for sure tune in with that one. But for this live, we just this was spur of the moment. We just wanted to get on here and have this conversation. This is the thing that I'll say. Matt Nagy is a play caller. I don't think that anybody would come on this show and tell you that they believe that Matt Nagy's play calling is going to save the Chicago Bears. I don't believe that anybody's going to come on this show and tell you that Matt Nagy's play calling is going to put the Chicago Bears in a position where, with Andy Dalton, they're going to be a great offense. Now, a lot of the caveat that we've seen with the play calling, Mitch looked great. This is the biggest problem with it, right? Mitch looked great while Dalton looked terrible. That's the biggest problem with it, right? Because if Mitch has a great game, you applaud it up for Mitch, you give him his hand. If Dalton has a great game as well, you like, yeah, okay. But okay. Here's where the problem comes in. And something that I really want Bears fans to think about. Now, MItch Trubisky did nothing different than really what we saw, right? Except first things first, way better protection. If you want to start with the thing that's going to help Mitch most, way better protection. The fact that he was not running for his life every single play absolutely helps Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
But Mitch still, like you said, nickel and dimed his way down the field. Mitch still was a one-read quarterback.
Now, I have to say something. You go back and look at his first couple plays. They were not just 7 yards. He was throwing that bad boy 12, 15 yards.
He only had one pass over 15 yards.
One completed pass over 15 yards.
One completed pass. Yeah, well, I mean, that's a big part of it.
It's a big difference.
That's like the dudes commenting on my last video talking about, Fields would have been great if the receivers hadn't dropped those 6 passes. I'm like, yeah, that's true, but we don't give Andy Dalton that same love. Like we don't go out and say, you know what? If Rodney Adams hadn't fallen down, Andy Dalton wouldn't have one interception. No, Muzz go to the stat sheet at the end of the day and they say he had an interception. So I like to keep things even keel here. Mitch did nothing to me that's different than what we've seen Mitch do. The problem is, one, versus our number ones, is he going to be able to do that? Versus and Coach T, I'm going to start putting some of your comments up here because you're really breaking it. Coach T in here breaking it down.
Hey, shout out to Coach. I told him to.
Shout out to Coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me,
I don't get what he's trying to say, though, but okay.
I think he's breaking down why Mitch was successful.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the thing that I look at with Mitch is that, did he prove that Matt Nagy's play calling doesn't work? I think that Mitch more so proved that he's competent, because we all knew Matt Nagy's play calling don't work. We know, it's like you said, Matt Nagy is a head coach, and I want everybody to understand the encompassing thing of head coach. Matt Nagy is a head coach. Is not a bad head coach. The fact that Matt Nagy has kept his team under his wing, going through this, the fact that Matt Nagy has kept his team together, the fact that nobody's come out and been like, you know what, I'm sick of this dude, Nagy, man. Because listen, there's a ton of reasons to. We've all said it.
Yeah.
There's a ton of reasons to, but the fact that Matt has been able to keep this team together, the fact that Matt, it seems like, has been a pretty good talent evaluator, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he has the skill set of a head coach. The problem is he wants to be the offensive coordinator, and he's never had a successful season as the offensive coordinator. So to me, Mitch didn't so much prove that Nagy's system is what's killing the Bears, because I'm going to be honest with you. Kid, I ask you this, and chat, I'll ask y'all this. Does anybody complain about Matt Nagy's play calling when Justin Fields is out there?
I do.
You complain about it because you think he's using a completely different playbook for Fields than Dalton.
Not just that. Well, it's not a completely different playbook. And we talked about this offline. And so, like, I had a moment to kind of, really ask some clarity what I'm trying to say. It could be the same playbook, but it is a different play. Like you say, he is on a different other side of the field.
Yeah.
And, okay, it's on the other side of the field. But at the same time, you mentioned one thing. Justin Fields' ability, raw talent to extend that play is what ultimately makes it look good. And so I give you credit for that. That's saying more about the player and less about the coach. The player and his will to win is more evident in that situation because he's not a statue.
Yeah,
he uses all of his abilities,
and we saw that with Mitch last season too.
Yeah.
When the line got a little more consistent last season, and Mitch was able to use his legs, all of a sudden we're sitting there. We're not complaining about the offensive line when we're doing the post game show. We more so complaining about, hey Mitch, could you hit a 5-yard out route? But at the same time, Mitch is using his legs on them. You know what I'm saying? Like it. To me, there's so many things that go into it.
I like that comment. Can you highlight Baki's comment?
Which one? Where Baki at? I see it.
Yeah. The reason why I want to do this is because a lot of people say, yeah, he only threw to his first read, but he completed a high percentage of them.
That's poor defense, though.
That may be true, but that's an excuse. If he saw his first read, he can make that throw. And he threw it and he completed it. Guess what? That's a good play. If the read was there and he executed it on the first and second one, he did what he was supposed to do. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, but he didn't go through his progressions." Well, guess what, niggas? Guess what? We sucked that bad that he didn't have to.
No, that's facts. No, that's facts.
So now the next part would be, okay, let's put some pressure on him, see how he does. And if he does well in that situation, then what's the excuse?
Well, I think this is the thing, right? This is the thing with Mitch. And we saw it while he was here. And that's why I say, like the Trubisky truthers are out. Listen, first off, Trubisky had a great day. Have a day. Let the truthers have their day. You know what I'm saying? They out here. We see them. They've been a little quiet because they also excited about Justin Fields being here. They're like, you know what, man, Justin. By the way, 68 in here, 19 likes. Let's get them likes up. They're like, man, Justin here too. He cool.
Music ready. Hold on.
He cool. Don't get him with the old music, kid.
Don't hit him
with the old music, kid.
Hey, listen. Y'all realize I'm changing the setup a little bit. I'm actually gonna get a soundboard. He don't know that, but now he do. Well, you don't know that, but now you do. Well, however I'm supposed to point. You get what I'm trying to say. Listen, we're gonna really drill down. We want this channel to grow. Support the channel by all you got to do is hit the like, leave a comment. We love the interaction we got in the chat. I love what I see from Coach T and Jay Crit going back at it. Jay Crit, I love to see you, baby. Good to see you in there. But let's do the right thing, man. It takes nothing from you. We appreciate the support. My fault, bro. My fault.
I love Demetrius. Coach T and Jay Crip both talk about I know football. Demetrius said, I know Madden. I had to highlight that one. I know Madden. Hey, that's the community, man. It's family. We keeping it all kosher in the chat. I love it. This is the biggest thing to me though when we're talking about is it Nagy's play calling, right? Nagy's play calling will fail him with the Andy Daltons more than likely. Hopefully not, but more than likely. Getting a little echo, kid. With the Mitch Trubiskys. But if
I thought my computer froze for a second. I would say, "Oh Lord, I lost him."
No.
My fault.
With Justin Fields, to me, his ability to not only be on the move, but also be able to read defenses is something that I'm telling y'all, I never hear anybody complain about the play calling when Matt Nagy's in there by himself, or when Justin Fields is in there. I
Nobody
only hear it when
complains
Andy
about
Dalton.
Green Bay when they're winning because Aaron Rodgers is doing this thing. But guess what? It's a lot wrong in Green Bay, apparently. Like, no one complained about the Patriots system and how robotic it was because they were winning. But guess what? It was a lot wrong there. Like, that success covers over a lot of that stuff. So you can't say that. But what is the success predicated on? The success of this situation is predicated on this quarterback covering over his flaws, and he needs that because he's not a good coach.
No. Listen. I think there's a difference between not a good coach and not a good play caller. Now, the problem is we brought Nagy in to be the offensive guru. We brought Nagy in to be the guy that's going to be the excellent play caller. You have to look at him and be like, listen, you haven't delivered on that. Who's the offensive player that you've really developed? I mean, David Montgomery was supposed to be your guy. You haven't used him at all. You hope that you can develop Justin Fields. I mean, let's hope Darnell Mooney's able to take a step. But who's the offensive player that the Bears can look at and say Matt Nagy is the reason this guy is what he is? Because Anthony Miller, Jesus Christ. Well, Anthony Miller is a good example of didn't develop. Allen Robinson came in already with that talent. So to me, I just think that I kept hearing the Mitch conversation all day. And to me, I want people to understand, you're having two different conversations. Mitch is able to do that versus the Chicago Bears because, one, Roquan Smith is out. Danny Trevathan is out. No Eddie Goldman. No pressure up the middle in your face. He's not running for his life there. No, you know what I'm saying? And listen, but to give Mitch credit, he did what he did versus most of the Bears' number ones. Those 2 touchdown plays are both against Khalil Mack's out there, Robert Quinn's out there, all of that. But
I was impressed at how he threaded the needle so many times.
But to me, here's the thing that you have to look at. Like you said, the first read was there. He did it. That's excellent play calling. You're seeing a lot of vanilla defenses in preseason, and I know it's preseason. We're going to say this is where you're seeing a lot of the vanilla defense. You're seeing mostly man-to-man. You're not seeing a ton of zone for him, and we know zones where he gets in trouble. Hey, listen, Washington's the only team that ever played this man-to-man the entire game, and Mitch dominated them mugs every single time. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You know, the one thing I will say, and this is a detriment to Nagy, and it's not because I'm gunning for Nagy. It's just the facts. But it's also what Nagy had to work with. Biscuits is in a better QB what they call it, situation.
Yeah,
he's in a better situation, and he's with someone who is a proven talent of developing a QB. That's much different, right? And I want people to realize that did he win Rookie of the Year?
Who?
What did Mitch win in 2018?
2018, Mitch didn't win that.
He went to a Pro Bowl. Whatever year he was a Pro Bowler, whatever year he got that, right?
He didn't win nothing. He just went to the Pro Bowl.
He just went whatever. He did it based off extended.
He's the Nickelodeon MVP. That's what that man is.
Oh, that was a shame. I wouldn't have been to accept that. That's like a 5th place trophy.
After a loss.
Hey, but the one thing I will say is, if you look at what we were excited about as fans 3 years ago, it was primarily because he extended plays with his legs, and we had never had a mobile QB like that.
True.
And we were really big on it. Realistically, let's just put all the bias aside. Why are we really excited about Justin Fields? It's not to say he's not good, not to say he doesn't have a higher ceiling, stuff like that, because he extends plays with his legs than we haven't really had that since Mitch, really. He's a more accurate QB.
That's it right there.
And he's black.
That's it. Well, of course, the third one.
I do love the third one. But listen, we're kind of forever, accurate version of MItch Trubisky coming out of college. That's what we like. That's really what we like.
But
what's covering over is that he's still a mobile QB. So Mitch didn't do anything he didn't do here. He was just more accurate in doing it. And we just wanted him to see him take that leap. He didn't do it under Nagy. He did it under a different coach who has a proven system of developing.
Hey, listen. He hasn't.
Nagy doesn't have that.
This is the thing that we have to understand. He hasn't done it yet. He did it in a preseason game versus a defense that was missing most of his players. Now, he did it. He played well. But I've seen Mitch play well. I've seen Mitch versus Dallas. I've seen Mitch versus Washington. I've seen Mitch have
I've
great
seen
games
Mitch have
where
a
all of
good
a sudden,
game and then totally get yanked out, like totally get called. They totally call a different scheme the next game because Maggie wants. I said Maggie. Nagy wants to show off his offensive prowess. Like that
but
doesn't make sense.
no, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Whether it's on Matt, it could be on Matt Nagy in that situation, but players are looking at Mitch like they did last season or the season before, and they said, okay, we're not going to allow you to extend plays and we're going to take away your first read. Now, that may be on Matt Nagy saying that to me, that's on Matt Nagy for not having a better second option for Mitch out there, or maybe just, Darnell Mooney was the only other option on the field at that point. But to me, that part of it's on Nagy. But the part that will always be Mitch is that when Allen Robinson was taken away, he didn't know what to do after that. And even in the game on Sunday, it was a lot of first read. It was mostly first read. The first read was just there.
Did you go back? He hit some second reads too. He had some plays when he did go down to progressions, extend plays.
The problem is, he hit some second reads too. Absolutely. The problem is, can you do that on a consistent basis? Because if I take away your first read, if I take away your second read, what's the next option? And a lot of times in that zone defense that we're not going to see in preseason, because at this point, you're just trying to see Muggs run around and get some exercise, especially your number ones. Like that. That's why I love it. It's like it's preseason. The preseason hot takes make me smile so much. It's just like this, like even with Fields, like even what we got here, even with Justin Fields, even with Andy Dalton, Muzz is saying Andy Dalton's the worst quarterback to ever put on a Bears jersey, which listen, which by the numbers is, come on now, have y'all seen the Bears quarterbacks? And then are saying that Justin Fields is the savior. I rewatched that last game. Listen, yes, there's some drop passes for Fields that help him. There's some drop passes for Andy Dalton that would help him look better. Andy Dalton underthrew some passes. Justin Fields underthrew some passes. Justin Fields just looked better because guess what? When you get in the third and long and all the options are gone, he can take off with his legs and get you 15 yards. And he did that 3 times. He did that 3 times. But if we're talking about an offensive system, to me, that's it's like you said, like Justin Fields is going to make Matt Nagy look good. Now the conversation is, should we be scared of that? Or is Nagy now here's the caveat, or is Nagy a good enough coach at everything else that if Justin Fields is the reason that the offense elevates, we should be okay with that? Because I think we've all came on here and said, we've said Nagy's good with the team. Nagy's good for the team. Nagy, we've said Nagy should be that Mike Tomlin type coach. Mike Tomlin's a defensive minded coach, but he don't call no play.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. The funny thing is we talk offline all the time and we really have heated conversations about this. And I think we just do it for sport at this point because we really don't care.
And look, we be agreeing with each other.
Right. But here we agree so much. And to be honest with you, I'm worried. This is my real concern when it comes to Nagy and this whole Justin Fields saga. He's gonna run him into the ground before he's ready.
Right.
Because his play calling does not consist of a lot of Monty. And what did Bill Lazor do? Bill Lazor, with those 6 games, we saw a lot of Monty, and he was killing it. And what did we talk about in the when we have the fantasy whispers on? They talked about picking David Montgomery up. Him having potentially a breakout season and stuff like that. They mentioned that. So it's like, but when you hear Matt Nagy say, "I'm going to do the play calling," how can he do so when we even see it in preseason? Do you see a lot of running plays getting called?
No. And
that's a problem. Like preseason matters. Like preseason matters so much that jobs are on the line for preseason.
But
I know everything ain't for real. It ain't the real. It ain't like you can't compare preseason to week 8. But like, come on, people are really battling for a spot.
But here's the caveat: you only get so many runs out of a back a year.
That's true.
You only get so many runs out of a back a year. You don't want to be going run. Like, listen, in the 1980s, you going run heavy every play. Send them. Walter's probably putting up in 3 games in 1984. He's probably putting up 100 rushes in 4 games back then. Probably putting up over 200 rushes. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like you only get so many rushes out of him. So I'm not tripping on the fact that Nagy and we know what the issue is. We know the issue is Nagy's passing game does not work. Now,
Right.
a caveat to that a lot of people aren't going to want to put into account. I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of what we're seeing, especially, we haven't seen Allen Robinson. We haven't seen much of Jimmy Graham. We've seen a little bit of Cole Kmet. We haven't seen any of David Montgomery, really. There's a lot of pieces missing offensively that absolutely could make Andy Dalton's job easier. And I'm going to say this to y'all.
Yeah.
If there is not a wide receiver on that offensive line that can get off or get any separation,
it's gonna be a long
I don't
season.
care if Justin Fields is out there. I don't care if Tom Brady's out there. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers is out there. It's going to be a problem for the Chicago Bears offensively. Because listen, I wanted Riley really to be good because I love the speed. I wanted Javon Wims to be good because I love the size. Neither of them can get any separation. Neither of them can get any separation.
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney hasn't seen much time. So maybe with that is, but I mean, listen, we know what Allen Robinson is. Allen Robinson's not getting a ton of separation.
Yeah,
he's a big body. He's gonna push you out the way. He's gonna take that ball out of your hands.
I'm seeing a lot of this in the chat, like you preaching, but I'm seeing a lot of this in the chat about people are kind of misconstruing what's being said about Justin Fields. We're not saying that the kid ain't good. We're saying that the system that he's in may not allow him to excel the way we think he can excel.
Yeah.
Like if I have to, like most people, we know this is football talk, but let's break this down to something that most people can get. Imagine if LeBron James got drafted to a team with the coach that demanded he play his way. Would LeBron have been LeBron? It's one of those I don't know type things. If Jordan got drafted,
basketball is such a different sport. Because of football, if you hold somebody back, you can actually hold somebody back.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about is the mental part of it. Realistically, the mental part and all that stuff. You know, I know it's a completely different sport, but we're talking about greatness, and greatness we've seen evolve and become legendary.
Greatness.
Imagine if they had people who really just tried to hold that back because they had their own agenda.
Yeah,
it's really what I'm trying to get at. And Nagy is one of those divas in the league and NFL that absolutely wants to prove himself, and he doesn't have to. And we've seen it.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that because to me, the fact that Nagy, by the way, 85 people in here, 38 likes, kid really finna put this music on y'all. but the thing is, to me, and let's get over 100 people in the chat. Let's get this conversation busting. The thing is, to me, if we're talking about Matt Nagy, the coach, not the play caller, the coach, it's weird because I can live with him as the coach. But as the play caller, he's become a detriment to his own team. And I'm going to be real with you. I'll say this. Here's my other caveat, right? Because I had this conversation in the last video. By the way, if y'all ain't seen the last video,
I have not seen it though. I saw you post it though, and I saw when you loaded. I've been working.
If y'all haven't seen the last video, check that one out. Talking about 3 key takeaways from the game. There's a real turning point for Matt Nagy this season. Now, I like Nagy. I like Nagy as a guy. I like Nagy as a coach. I do. I don't like him as a play caller. I hate him as a play caller. I hate him as a play caller. He's a terrible play caller. But Matt Nagy has a turning point this season as a coach that if he doesn't make the right decision, it could cause the locker room to split. And he's already begun to do that by not allowing Justin Fields to compete for this job. Now, I'm fine with Andy Dalton being the starting quarterback if he proves that he's the better quarterback. And I'm going to be honest with you right now, as much as we want Fields to be out there because of what we saw in the first game, what we saw in the second game versus a much better defense, Andy Dalton hasn't proved that he should be the guy. If anything, he might have taken some points away. But Justin Fields has by no means taken that job away from Andy. We want him in there because he's new, he's shiny. It's the shiny new toy. That's why we want him in there. We want to see it now. We want to get it in now. We're like right now we like a 15-year-old teenager seeing his first pair of panties.
What? Dog?
Just saying, you know what I mean? Like,
what?
I'm assuming most of us have been there.
I mean, when you said 15-year-old though.
Well, you know, my generation started a little younger.
Stop.
You know what I mean?
Gating all that stuff on here. Stop.
No, but to me, if I look at the fact that you're telling Justin that he can't win this job, and by no means do I think Justin's taking his job, but you've taken that away from him. Now, what does that mean I'm gonna be real with you. If Rodney Adams don't make this team because somebody likes Javon Wims better, that's a joke. If you're looking at position battle, why is everything else a position battle? Why is Rodney Adams able to come in and possibly get Riley Ridley and Javon Wims cut? Because he's played so well. But Justin Fields can't win that job. That's preaching that, hey, listen, if you come in here, you might not be able to win this job. Nagy is so stubborn with it, to your point, that he is more tied to the game plan than he is to what's actually happening on the field. And that is a big problem for the Chicago Bears. And that could be a big problem that I'm going to be real with you. As the season progresses, if he loses this team, he will be out as a head coach after this season. If he loses this team.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see why he wouldn't. He doesn't. Let me take a step back. I don't see why he wouldn't potentially be fired mid-season. Now, I know it's a risky move. However, realistically, everyone else knows everyone else on that staff. Bill Lazor can have his little interim moment. We can see it. We can take a flyer on that since the season will be a wash anyway, and we're really just trying to develop players and see what they can do. Guess what? I wouldn't be mad at that if he kills this. I'm going to tell you where he killed it for me. He killed it for me by not giving Andy Dalton more reps. Let me explain this. Yes, Andy Dalton is a seasoned QB. Yeah, he supposedly gets the system.
Yeah.
But guess what? He's just as new as Fields when it comes to being in this situation, being in this on this team, right? So guess what?
And we don't want to give him, the Bears fans don't want to give him that leeway. It's like, hey, he don't really know what's happening out there. Like, he gets it more, but he don't get it as much either. No, he should get it. He's been in the league 10 years. He's trash. Whoa.
Like, no, it don't work that way. You need reps just like anyone else does. And now here's the thing. After getting some preseason reps, like game 1, game 2, I should see a more polished Dalton. I should see a more polished product.
Yeah.
And if that's not the case, then yeah, of course you pull him. But because you've done this thing where Justin plays a whole game, plays half of another game and stuff like that, and realistically it looks like, like Andy Dalton's really not going to have much time with any of the starters in a real game situation, and he's going to throw him out there. I don't like that. That to me is
that a product of the new preseason though?
Even if that is, you have to make adjustments to put a quality product on the field.
That's true.
And you have to make those adjustments. Now Justin Fields starting game 1, whole game, absolutely. Do your thing.
Yeah.
But I should see more Andy Dalton from this point forward if that's who we're going to be running with. Now, mind you, this is not, I like what Justin Fields said. This is not one of those situations where we should be screaming for Justin Fields while Andy is on the field. No, we as a team want to succeed as a team. We should want Andy to do well. He's on a 1-year deal. He knows he ain't here long term. We all know he's not here long term. We should want him to be successful so he can have there's a better example for our up and coming QB. That's really how this should work.
And I really want y'all to understand the viewpoint we're coming from. We're coming from what the Bears are feeding us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I want Justin Fields to be the starter day one. You know why? Because
I think it'd do well for his confidence.
I think it'll do well for his confidence, and I think he's the better quarterback when it's all said and done. Now, I think that he doesn't have the experience, which Andy does, but I think he's the better quarterback when it's all said and done. I think that his athleticism gives your struggling offensive line so much more to work with, because we saw what a struggling offensive line did with MItch Trubisky back there, and most of the season, Mitch wasn't able to hit people on the run. That's something Justin excels at. Now, we're working with what the Bears have told us. The Bears have told us Andy Dalton's the starter no matter what. I can't sit here. Listen, I'm going to say it again. I got 36 inches of bear head right here. I want the Bears to win. I don't care who the starting quarterback is. I don't care if all of a sudden next week they say P.Kidd's going out there as Petty Casanova, throw it on the back of a jersey. He's going out there to start at quarterback. I want the Bears to win.
I don't know why you caught me off guard with that one today.
Hey, listen, I'm just I want the Bears. I don't care who. It's not about the name on the back of the jersey. It's about the logo on the front of the jersey for me. Now, do I love the names on the back of the jersey? Yeah. Do I love me? Well, it's a little tough to love a Brian Urlacher now, but I loved him when he was playing. You know, personal views aside, I love Brian Urlacher as a player. I love Lance Brigg as a player. I love Devin Hester as a player. I love, name the dude. I love Walter Payton as a player. Well, I love Walter Payton as a dude, too. That's sweetness. But
he wasn't even alive for most of it.
Don't matter. I go back for it. Hey, listen. I'll be real with you. Hey, I wasn't alive for none of it. Wasn't alive for any of it.
It was over by the time you were thought.
It was done. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't alive for any of it. But this is what I tell you. We are dealing in the reality that the Bears have set forth. They have told us there's no way Justin Fields can win this job. So we're dealing with the fact that Andy Dalton's the starter. When we're saying Andy Dalton should get these reps, when we're saying that Andy Dalton should go out there and be the one that's out there more times than not, it's because Andy Dalton's going to be under center week 1 versus Aaron Donald. He probably should know what's going on.
I love Isaac. He's screaming, I'm stating facts. I ain't stated one fact this entire time. You're stating lies at this point, dog. Because at this point, realistically, I'm going to tell you the truth. Matt Nagy made a decision. They extended this contract to Andy Dalton. He made a decision coming in. This is going to be our starting QB. They promised him a starting job. And realistically, let's be honest. He only did it because they didn't know if they had a shot at Fields. That's how it happened. They knew that they had a so-called opportunity, but they didn't know it was a real shot until he started to slide on the draft board.
The promise is the problem. Because I don't care if you go get whoever you want to say, bum dumb quarterback from Oglesby State, and all of a sudden, if you listen, Russell Wilson was a 3rd round pick.
Hey, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Russell Wilson was a 3rd round pick, and then somebody sitting in there, Pete Carroll sitting there, he like, I can't not play him. He's dominating.
Now let me ask you this.
Promising is the problem.
Let me ask you, but they made the promise because they needed to get a QB in here. And they knew Mitch was out. They needed to get a QB, and we had nobody looking our way. We really didn't have anybody looking our way. So here's what I'm saying.
So be a liar. You know what I'm saying? Be a liar.
Hey, loyalty in this league, it means nothing. They kind of talked about that on some of the media outlets today. That it does happen all the time. They a lot of Russell Wilson talk came up and stuff like that. And if that's the situation and he wins it, then absolutely. But here's the thing: we have butchered so many things, and regardless of what you all say, I've had some people associated with it professionally too, and they agree with the fact that Nagy killed biscuits. And so at this point, I'm being honest with you. Like they say that he had it on flaws, but the way that the disregard he had for him was just unprofessional. And if you have people who are associated with these teams in so many ways, and they're saying that I'm a nobody, right? They actually know these people. That's a problem. When you have interviews online of players knowing on the opposite team that he doesn't care for his QB, that's a problem. When you see press conferences when he clearly throws Mitch under the bus and reverses it, that's a problem. Stuff like that is a lack of integrity as a man, in my opinion. And so when you have situations like that, you can't go out there and promise Andy Dalton a job and not give it to him. You can't, because you already have a history of throwing your QB under the bus. Now you're going to hire him, give him $10 million, tell him he's going to have a chance to turn his career around, basically, and you take it from him because you got a new shiny toy. That looks bad from that aspect. Now, if that new shiny toy is better, in hindsight, it could work out. But if he doesn't develop well, now Nagy has ruined his reputation across the board. And that's what's at risk here. So realistically, Nagy, keep saying Nagy. Nagy did it to himself.
Yeah.
And this is completely a Nagy thing. It's
But
completely.
I think I don't know if Baki said it earlier. I don't know who said it, but here's I think it was Baki. But here's another thing that we also have to take into account with this whole thing. Matt had zero ties to Mitch. Matt was not around when they drafted Mitch. Matt was not around when. And listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. John Fox had zero ties to Mitch because John Fox said, "Let's go get Deshaun Watson." But Matt had zero ties to Mitch. This is Ryan Pace's pick. Now I'm not saying that, and I don't know what Isaac is yelling about. Isaac,
no one's disagreeing with you.
We agree that Justin Fields is really good. Like, what are you yelling about?
We disagreed, and on top of that, I kind of just outlined why Andy has to start because of Matt Nagy's reputation. Like, chill, bro. Like it's okay. I hate to put you on the block list because you just popping off too much, but I will. Like, just relax. We got you.
No. I ain't gonna block him. I love the pop off. That's what makes the show entertaining. Listen, we can go back and forth with it all day. You know, I live for this. This is Talking Chicago Sports, how Chicago talk. Now,
facts.
Don't even say nothing to me, boy. You look like a muck. No.
Hey, here's my real question though. Before draft day, was Justin Fields a lock to the Bears?
No. Justin Fields wasn't supposed to fall that far.
Okay. So before then, we had absolutely no hope at QB outside of Andy Dalton.
Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. You're not. I don't remember who all was still on the board at that point, but I think you are right. But I don't 100% remember. But here's the problem, though. All right, I'm done arguing with Isaac. He just talking about stating lies. I don't even know what's happening. Here's the problem.
I said he was stating lies. He's popping off about it. Like, it was a joke, but I see where he's coming from. But.
Oh, I see what he's saying. All right.
I mean, it was a joke, but I get it. It is what it is.
Here's the problem I have with how Nagy's doing this. Jason Peters came in. He's the starting left tackle. He's the number one. Now, granted, the Bears have some issues at that position, but Larry Borum, as far as I can tell, seems to be developing. Elijah Wilkinson got run over. He got run over bad. But there's people that are playing that position that were here already and that are playing that position. And for the most part, from what I've heard, Jason Peters was promised the left tackle job. Hey, if you come in here, 39 years old, it don't matter. You're promised the left tackle job. And Andy Dalton, same thing. That's not a way to breed the best out of your team. That's not a way to push your team to be better. That's a way to, hey, I got my job. I'm good. We out here.
Hey, but Peters did have an excellent 2019. I do not, outside of Cam Newton, who still doesn't look good. I do not look at 2020 COVID. I don't look at the COVID season as an indictment on anyone's career legacy, because it's a whole different situation than what it is today. Now you got practice, you getting some reps in and stuff like that. Now I'm gonna judge you. Yeah, so I get the fact, and I hate the fact that I'm reading the comments as I'm talking. But I get the fact that it was 2 years ago, Sanders. But guess what? There was a whole season where people just kind of run out there and just play football. There's so many. Yeah,
2019 was wild. He ended up with an injury. I believe I think he only played 9 games that season. Listen, and he might help. He might still have it. There's those weird dudes that still got it. Tom Brady still got it. It's not normal. He can't move. He can't run. He still got it.
Oh, listen. They building a fort around that dude. It's complete Fortnite every time he snaps the ball.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? So to me, like there's a lot of things that go into it. But my problem with how Nagy's running this, and I think that the thing that could cause the biggest division inside this locker room, which, listen, if they go out and be successful, this all could be for nothing.
Crit, we got to talk about that. Hit me up. But is that true what my man just said?
Which one?
He just said that Nagy did have ties to Mitch and even talked to him before they drafted him. Is that true?
Yeah, and you know what he said? You're not the guy. Let's go get Pat Mahomes.
Did he say that for real?
Pat Mahomes was at the top of their draft board. They traded up to go get Pat Mahomes. He was at the top of their draft board, like the very top. Like for you to talk to everybody, and we can say he had ties to him. We can say he didn't have ties to him as far as this is the quarterback I'm picking.
I thought he was suggesting that they draft Watson.
No, he didn't like Watson because of the knee injury.
I think that's foolish.
He didn't like Watson because of the knee injury. I mean, yes and no. Like Watson did have a season where he missed because of a knee injury, but also Watson is still really good. But I mean, Pat Mahomes
and Watson had no protection, ran for his life, and still threw nearly 5,000 yards. I mean,
hey, Pat Mahomes won a Super Bowl, so 5,000 yards look great, but Super Bowl ring on my hand looks much better. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's. I think the thing with Nagy that I can say, and I think, listen, at a minimum, quarterback wise, he's 2 for 2.
Hey, listen, great scout.
Great scout. Problem we have with him: stop calling plays.
Here's my question: why does he feel the need to?
He's trying to be his mentor, and listen, this is the
Andy
thing.
Reid had a spotty history before he won.
But exactly, and this is the reason why I say, this is the reason why I would say, because to me, we know Fields is going to be here much longer than Nagy would if Nagy's not successful. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing that I'll say: at a minimum, you want Matt Nagy in your organization for drafting purposes, for helping Ryan Pace find that guy early in the rounds versus Ryan Pace's 5th round successes. Now, you put those two together, hopefully you make a complete draft, you get something great. Here's the thing that I'll say. A lot of what we hear about Andy Reid or about Matt Nagy is the same stuff we heard about Andy Reid. Andy Reid just had Donovan McNabb. Is Justin Fields going to be Matt Nagy's Donovan McNabb? Is he going to be that guy that, listen, what do we hear about? Let's go through it. Terrible with the clock. Matt Nagy, terrible with the clock. Terrible on 4th down and 3rd down situations. Matt Nagy, terrible on 4th down and 3rd down situations.
Man doesn't call a running play to save his life.
Andy Reid really does not. Now, Andy Reid runs the ball a little bit more now, but I mean, like, listen, he was letting it fly. He was letting it fly out.
Post Isaac's comment just because I want to pick on him for a second.
Isaac, come on, bro.
Isaac. Let me ask you something. I want you to just calm down on the keyboard for a second. I'm going to do a poll for you real quick, all right? This is an impromptu live, so I get to do this. I would never do it on a live show, so I'm glad that you're here. Everyone in the chat, and Pat is going to hate me for this. He's going to call me afterwards like, bro, don't do that no more. But I got to do it this time. I'm going to take
I'm probably not.
Everyone in the chat, do you think Matt Nagy is a good play caller? Wait, Pat.
Jay Sanders doubled down. He said Matt Nagy's a bad game manager.
Whoa, Pat. Let it breathe for a second. I just want to see the nobs fill up the chat. Like, we got 81 people here, and is Matt Nagy a good play caller? I gotta know.
Oh my God!
No.
Oh, Jesus!
Hell no!
Oh, it got aggressive. No. Oh my goodness!
All right. Listen. All right. Guess it. Is Matt Nagy going to be the QB that wins us our Super Bowl?
Possibly. And I'll say this for this reason.
Oh, we gonna go at it on this one.
No, I'll say it for this reason. I think Justin Fields is that good.
This is what I'll say to everyone here. This is my position on it. I don't think we're going to get to the Super Bowl.
Not this season.
I don't think we're going to get to the Super Bowl in the next 2 seasons. Okay. We just have too many holes to fill. And then you got to look at the competition we're against. Like, Tom Brady is like collecting infinity ring gauntlets over there. Like, he's getting everybody on these 1-year deals, and they're deferring all this payments. Like, we're going to see Brady and Mahomes for the next couple of years. Like, get used to it. The NFL just became the NBA. Don't worry about it. It's happening though, right?
Yeah.
But because of that, I see us progressively getting further in the playoffs or having really competitive games. Mind you, Mitch got us to the playoffs. It got us to the playoffs when Matt wasn't calling plays, but he got us to the playoffs. All right.
Now he
So
got
I
us
can
to the
see us
playoffs when Matt
progressively
was
getting
calling his
better.
plays.
Huh?
He got us to the playoffs when Matt was calling plays. That was when we all still liked Matt, and he won Coach of the Year, and he was running Santa's sleigh.
One season. And the other ones, guess what? No, Bill absolutely got us to the playoffs. like Bill in my book is getting credited for a playoff run, not Matt.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think Matt ever really gave Bill the play calling.
That's BS.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna tell you that I'm gonna tell you why I say this. I think he did it so that people would leave him alone. Because it's just weird to me.
What? Stop.
It's just bro. I'm gonna be real.
Durant move?
Bro, yes, bro. It's weird to me that not only
it makes sense. I love it.
that not only when he doggone started losing, all of a sudden when the losses came, it was Bill Lazor's team, and then a couple wins started trickling in, and all of a sudden Matt Nagy, I'm calling plays again.
Dog, I love you so much for that,
bro.
I love you so much. This is the most fun I've had. Doing this is the most fun I've had in a long time, dog.
Bro, I don't think he ever gave that man the play call. I think that man was like, yeah, Bill Lazor got it, because they asked him after, and Lazor was like, what? Yeah.
Leo moment. That's right, Sanders. He right. Jay said it. He don't. That formation was totally. Hey, listen. You can see a clear difference in the plays that were called, though. You can see a clear difference.
Nah, see, Sanders, we can't say that, because when Nagy got here, he kept running the I formation because he wanted to pay homage to the old Bears, and we're going to be smash mouth as well as a new style offense. He did it in 2018. This is the thing. He know what I think Nagy on Twitter, I ain't even going to stunt with you. Nagy got a burner account on Twitter right now. He's sitting here. Nagy's in the chat. Where's Nagy at? He in the chat somewhere.
I haven't seen him in the chat since the season started.
Hey, listen. I bet you he be back. It's really Matt Nagy. It's really Matt Nagy. It's really Matt Nagy. He's trying to gauge the pulse of the people. He know we got Chicago ear out here. He know we talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. Listen, that man is not. Like I don't think I don't believe he ever really gave up play call. I think he realized, hey, if I run smash mouth for 4 weeks, people will get off my back and think Bill's calling the plays. And then all of a sudden, slowly but surely, what do we see? Here's that little end around. 12-yard loss.
I got like 2 good questions though. Before I don't know how long you want to go with this. I know we're coming up on an hour.
Go ahead.
My question to the chat and you. But I really do want to see what the chat has to say, because as everyone knows, it's the family that we build here, right? If Matt Nagy pulls Andy Dalton as a starter and Justin Fields doesn't do as well as we hoped, will we blame Matt Nagy for doing
it? If we pull, so basically what we saw last season.
Yeah, if he throws Fields out there, and Fields it shows some signs, but it's not as polished as are we going to be okay if he sits him?
If he sits Dalton.
If he throws Fields out there week 1.
Yeah.
And Fields is not as polished all the way around. Like he
has
the poise and everything like that.
Nah, you can't go back. You can't go back unless there's injury. If he does that, I'll absolutely blame Matt Nagy, because to me, you're telling this kid, hey, we believe you're good enough to start the season. We understand you're going to grow. We understand that you're going to get better. And then all of a sudden you play poorly and I bench you because I'm worried about my job. That's on Nagy. You got to go on that one. Yeah, I go. And I'm going to be real with you. Hey, look, I think the ties right now, I'm going hot take right now. I usually don't do the hot take. I think the ties right now, I think Matt Nagy is the tie to Ryan Pace being here. I think Matt Nagy is the biggest string right now to Ryan Pace being here. I think Matt Nagy came into that draft room and was like, Fields is still on the board, go get him. And that bought both of them so much time. That bought both of them time they were not going to get.
Here's my follow-up question to that.
Go ahead with it.
and no one has ever really answered the question. But what if Dalton does good?
Let it ride.
Like, people don't remember, Aaron Rodgers is considered one of the greatest to ever thrown football. And statistically, he's the greatest QB we've ever seen. Statistically speaking. Like his touchdown to INT ratio is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right? The most efficient QB we've ever seen. Right? Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years because Brett Favre was like rolling, right? He was still in. I know Andy Dalton's not Brett Favre. But Andy Dalton seems to have a chip on the shoulder and want to really prove that he's worth his weight in gold in this league. If he goes out there and he's good,
yeah,
what do we do?
You talk about end of season,
and he's good.
You talk about end of season.
Do we pull a Miami? Because Miami absolutely botched that.
No. I'm gonna be real with you. Here's the thing that Muzz have to understand. Matt really does not want Justin to play. He really wants the excitement to bubble, and then Justin Fields does not play the entire season. That's what he really wants. Matt Nagy is hoping for an above-average defensive year from his defense. He's hoping that David Montgomery can. I hope he's hoping that David Montgomery can punch these mugs in the mouth. Hopefully use them a little bit. But he's hoping that Andy Dalton can be the competent quarterback that slows the game down, eats a lot of the clock, gets the defense rest, puts you in a position to score some touchdowns, gets into the end zone. But he's probably hoping from Andy Dalton 21 points a game.
But here's my follow-up question: are we going to be on pins and needles every time he throws an INT?
No.
No, we may not be, but the city as a whole, Andy Dalton could go out there and have a good,
the city as a whole is going to be on Justin Fields' watch from the day he was drafted. There's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing you can do about that.
But as a Breeze Nation, because we here, we talk.
Yeah.
Breeze Nation, are we going to be that irritating average fan that as soon as he has a bad play, because they all happen, it's going to happen, are we going to be like, see, that's why Fields needs to be in the game? Are we going to do that? Because to me, this is why I like Fields. It is mad disrespectful to sit there and try to kill the confidence of our starting QB before he even gets the chance to play and prove himself. Like it's mad disrespectful. So what are we really going to do as fans? Because guess what? I am not going to sit there and I'm expecting the way that Fields throws, the way he does a horrible job leading his receivers. I'm expecting them to have double-digit INTs.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm wholeheartedly expecting them to be in the 11 to 15 INT range. Easy. I see him going there. I'm not saying it's bad. I expect him to have more TDs than that, especially because he can use his legs. I'm expecting him to have some really exciting plays. But that part, he's not going to fix that in a couple preseason games. That's going to take a season or two to fix.
Now, T coming with the real caveat here, right? It depends on how the games are going. Because after every game, what would the Trubisky truthers come to us with? Oh, well, Mitch had 210 yards. He had 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. But what we would see in the game would be like, he ran one in, he threw one, but the defense gave him a ball that was at the 5-yard line. So did he really lead us down the field? Like that's the caveat. It depends on how the game is going, because for every time you would get somebody to come and be like, well, Mitch killed it today, it'd be like, but this is what actually happened. This is what we saw on the field. This is what you got to look at. If Andy Dalton comes out and Andy Dalton is competent, which I think he will be, and Andy Dalton is able to really hit his receivers, and listen, Andy Dalton's going to be able to do what we saw Mitch do with his number 1 receivers in there. Now, whether the offensive line is going to be able to stand in front of him long enough, that's a very different conversation. And this offensive line is very beat up. But at a minimum, all we saw Mitch do was, here's the ball for 5 yards, go run it 15.
That's not what happened. I agree with you on a lot. I know that the kid has flaws. I'm not one of those, oh, Mitch is going to be the next. I'm not. I believe he's a better QB than what he put here. And I think Nagy's the problem. the one thing I hate about the narrative about Mitch is that he didn't throw for more than 5 yards. That's absolutely not true. It actually shows me that you had bias when you watched it.
No, he threw multiple passes for 10, but he had one pass over 15 yards.
No. So how many passes over 15 yards is Justin Fields completed? If you say anything less than 5, I'm not trying to hear it.
Yeah, but he had 2 in the last game.
Okay.
He had 3 in the first game.
And Mitch had 1.
And Mitch had 1.
Mitch only played 1 game.
No, but here's the thing.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like that's a bias that's just like, yo, let it go.
It's
average
not bias.
Yard per pass for a good QB is 7 to 8 yards.
Okay.
That's the average. So, like, all this, he doesn't throw deep. Shut that up. It means nothing.
It does.
Absolutely nothing.
It does.
It means nothing.
It does.
It does not.
Who's the quarterback that's been dominant by throwing it 5 yards at a time?
Drew Brees.
Okay.
Hey, literally captain check down. I'll give you another one.
I don't think Drew Brees is the top 5 quarterback of his era.
Hey, he could throw long, but he's also known as a check down king. Peyton Manning would check down in a heartbeat.
When was Peyton Manning known as a check down QB? You talk about in Denver?
No, in Indiana.
In Indiana, in Indianapolis.
Now this
nobody
is
was looking at him and saying he was captain check down.
Huge Peyton Manning fan. I'm saying the man got an arm. The sheriff absolutely can rifle that mug. I'm not denying that by any means. But he was also captain check down. Tom Brady for a long time was captain check down. Did not throw long. He has 2 rings before we said he could throw deep. He has 7 now. I'm not trying to hear it. It's just a false narrative. It's almost as false. You know how I feel about that? The same way you feel about when Mog say the NFL is what was talking about? How the NFL has changed over the last 20 years. You go real hard on it. What's the point? You know what I'm trying to say. It's that one point that just pisses you off.
I don't even know the NFL has changed over the last 20 years.
Yeah, like you broke it down in a video too. It was a really good video, but like we spent like 3 hours talking about it. Like you did a 30-minute video, but we spent 3 hours talking about it. Like it's one of those things where it's like, yo, it's all right.
Oh, talking about I don't even remember what it was talking about. I know what you're talking about though. I do know what you're talking about. It was something about quarterbacks. I don't know. But no, I think with a lot of those, again, you got to go through the caveat. Peyton Manning could go through his progression. Peyton Manning could have the deep option. If the deep option was taken away, Peyton Manning could go to the underneath route. Drew Brees could go through his progression. Drew Brees went through it a little bit tougher because he was shorter. But he could go through his progression. He could have the deep ball if the deep ball is taken away. But I mean, listen, a lot of Drew Brees, a lot of our, we can call him Captain Checkdown because that's what we want to see. That's what the narrative became around him. How many of Drew Brees' great passes have we seen that have been 20 yards or more?
Eventually. Here's the one thing I would say, because I know I've said this to you. I absolutely was like, you know what? I am not going to be, out of my element when it comes to NFL this season. So like I spent a lot of time looking at it, and I look at a lot of greats for our QB position because we finally got a QB. Yeah. And I'm looking at the evolution of that. So I break it down by section and position at this point. And like Drew Brees was almost out of a job. Like people don't forget.
In San Diego. Yeah, in San Diego.
A lot of our people, a lot of the people we
got traded. Technically, he was out of a job.
He was out of a job. A lot of people we wrote off, like we hail as like good QBs. The narratives were totally different 20 years ago. The narratives were totally different 18 years ago with Peyton Manning. The narrative totally different, 20 years ago with Tom Brady. Totally different with when Aaron Rodgers started to first play. Totally different. Brett Favre would throw you in and out of a game. Totally different. We just like Brett.
Hey, look, that's not a different narrative. That narrative is the same.
Hey, but look at it. Like Brett Favre is like he leads the league in INTs by like 100 INTs.
Hey, Brett Favre would throw you into a game and then out of a game, and then back into the game.
Like if you had Brett Favre in this league today, he wouldn't be as great. He wouldn't be as great. He would be almost like Jameis Winston. Now he has some game-winning plays and stuff like that, but like the way he led the league, the narrative about him was totally different in the early 90s, right? Until he actually won one. So it's like, yo, let's stop coming on these lives and let's stop coming in these chats and stuff like that and say, oh, he can't do that. A lot of these players couldn't do a lot of that stuff initially in their first 3 to 4 years, which is where Mitch still is. Like,
Mitch is at 4 though.
Hey, year 10, if he's still doing it, no, year 6. If he's still doing it, let me know.
But here's the thing with Mitch, and we really this is why I love getting on these, because we can always, all right, webcam girls jumped in the chat. We're gonna block that one real quick. Hold on, let's get that out of here. Jesus Christ, what's happening there? But man, OnlyFans went down and the webcam girls joined YouTube. Goodness gracious!
All right.
But the biggest thing to me that all those other quarterbacks, like Breeze's last season in San Diego wasn't bad. He just he broke his leg. Right? Was it a broken leg or broken arm? Something broke. I think it was a broken leg. And Breeze figured out going through his progression. Peyton's first season was terrible. Peyton figured out going through his progression second season. Peyton went 13-3 next season. Tom Brady, we can call him Captain Checkdown, or we can put him in that Captain Checkdown area. He figured out how to go to his progression. We're in year 4 of Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky is still getting 1 read options, maybe 2. If that ain't there, that's there. Now, there's a place for that quarterback in the NFL. There really is.
Huh?
It's right where he's at. Because we just had an hour and 11-minute debate on did Mitch prove Matt's torn shoulder? My fault, torn shoulder. Shout out to Mikhail. We just had an hour and 11-minute conversation on Mitch and versus Matt Nagy and all of that again. And all they did,
Doug, if you look at go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off. It's a slight delay. My fault.
All they did was just simplify it. They made it as simple as possible. And we said, listen, that's what you need to do here in Chicago while he's the starting quarterback. And you know what the problem is with that? You know, when you do that, when your backup quarterback has to come in and you want to simplify the system for him so that he's able to go out there and just win you that game. That's when you simplify it like that. Go ahead.
There is a case study that you can make, and there's an argument to be had, and you can use Drew Brees as the perfect example. Their careers almost mirror each other. And there's a lot of other Hall of Fame QBs who absolutely have the opportunity to turn around later in their career. Because Drew Brees spent 5 years in San Diego. All I'm saying is this. I'm not making the case for why I think, he's going to be it. All I'm saying is there's a good chance, and we got to see it in one game. It's only one game, but we saw in that one game the difference in poise and everything else. You can say, well, he doesn't have to worry about anything. That's bullcrap. Because if he went out there and stunk it up against the Bears, guess what? We'd be on this live talking about some Seals. Ain't we glad we got rid of him? Like, the narrative would be totally different.
Oh, we'd be crushed. And listen, that's why I said this is the Truthers Day. This is the Truthers Day.
So at this point, all I'm saying is this. I think he can turn his career around. I think he's a much better QB than what he was able to perform here. And mainly it's because of the system that we have around him. And now this whole thing rests on Nagy's shoulders because he got the QB he wanted, so he can stop being the diva about that. He's play calling again. He can stop being the diva about that. Yeah. Even though we already see that there's another reason. Hey, listen, Bill Lays is a better play caller. Point blank period. You go argue with your mama about it. He's a better play caller.
Hey, look, and that's sad because he's not a good one either.
All I'm saying is a good head coach is also a good game manager, and also he should be the best at knowing his personnel, even when it comes to checking himself. He doesn't have to call the plays. He's choosing to. So when you decide to do too much and it doesn't work out, I'm not trying to hear, Ryan Pace didn't do his job. Shut up. Ryan Pace ain't calling plays. He's not. Ryan Pace is not responsible for player development. Matt Nagy is.
Ryan Pace did put the Bears in a hole money-wise, though.
Whatever. Ryan Pace went out there and definitely got the QB of our future. You see, this whole thing is about a QB of our future. We got people saying, why would we draft a QB just to sit him? Because he's a future. Like, that's we got the guy. He got us the guy. He built us a good defense. He spent some money on a good defense. Guess what? There's a lot of positives there. And he actually got a really good running back if Matt Nagy ever uses him.
Yeah, Nagy's got his guys. Nagy's got his guys. He's got no excuse now. He's got the wide receivers he wants. He's got the running back of his choice. He now has the quarterback of his choice. What are you going to do with it? And that's on Matt Nagy. And as far as MItch Trubisky proving that man system don't work, Mitch didn't have to. We knew that last season. Didn't matter. Man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us, man. We still got 84 in here, 68 likes. If y'all didn't hit that like button, man, just hit that like button before you go. Get in tune with us. I know we're a little bit late with the Bears merch. I had to wait for a little bit of all the digitization, all that good stuff, basically for the shirts to get finished. Our plan is to drop that on this upcoming preseason game on Saturday. I think all the Bears preseason games are on Saturday. So get in tune with that as well. Check the link in the description below to cop the Windy City Breeze merch, Windy City Bulls merch. Yeah, I'm talking about. So get in tune with us as well on that. Kids, you got any announcements for the people before we get about it?
No, I actually wanted to see if you wanted to make the announcement of all the games that you'll be trying to call during the season. I know we talked about it. I don't know if you want to make it official yet.
Oh, NBA,
as many. I don't know if you're calling every Bears game. I know that might be a little tough.
Bears, we probably. I get too emotionally invested, but our plan is to do a live call on a Bears game out in Seattle. We're actually trying to go out to Seattle. We're actually making plans to get out there. Hopefully, be able to get into one of the local Bears bars that's out there and do some stuff with them, do some giveaways and stuff out there. We still got that in the works. Bulls games, we're calling a ton of Bulls games this season. We are going to call at least you'll see one of us on here for pretty much every Bulls game this season. There may be a couple one-offs that maybe we go to the game because listen, I'm gonna be courtside this year, but maybe there's a couple one-offs where we go to the game.
Wait. Did you say you're gonna be courtside?
Oh, we're gonna be courtside.
How did I miss this? When do we get?
Hey, we're gonna find a way. Hey, look, we're gonna find a way to get courtside this year.
Okay, all right.
We will find a way to get courtside this year. That's gonna happen. But no, man, I just really appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us, man. Get in tune with us. If y'all haven't subscribed to the page, subscribe to the page because we do talk Chicago sports weekly. We've been going hard with it, so we appreciate y'all, man. I think that's it for us. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the page, all that good stuff. It's your boy Pat the Designer, joined by the Brody Bro Petty Casanova, P.Kidd. Hey, y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.